Get this filthy trash out of my sight. It is ruining the aesthetic of my marble floors. The heavy woven basket hit the ground with a sickening thud. Dozens of vibrant, hand-woven brocade fabrics spilled across the pristine white tiles of the most exclusive tailor shop in the city. Rose fell to her knees. Her hands were shaking as she scrambled to gather her life's work. Please, sir, I just need you to look at the craftsmanship. It is all dyed with natural roots and berries. My mother is in the hospital, and if I do not sell these today, they are going to stop her treatments. The shop owner, a man named Vance, just sneered and adjusted his silk tie. Do I look like a charity to you? This is a luxury boutique, not a flea market. Security, before the guard could even step forward, a heavy, mud-caked boot planted itself firmly on the fabric, but it was not stepping on it to ruin it. It was protecting it. A man knelt down, his clothes stained with dried mud and grass, looking like he had just crawled out of a ditch. Beside him stood a little girl, equally messy, holding a half-eaten granola bar. The man gently helped Rose to her feet. His eyes were incredibly calm, but they held a weight that made the room feel suddenly very small. Hey guys, sometimes the threads of fate weave the most beautiful justice for kind souls. If you believe that, drop a comment saying, I believe God always weaves justice. And make sure to hit that subscribe button right now to see how this unfolds. Vance scoffed, looking the muddy man up and down with absolute disgust. And who exactly are you supposed to be? A homeless mechanic? Get your filthy boots out of my store before I have you both arrested for trespassing. The man, Henry, did not even look at Vance. He just kept his focus on Rose. For Rose, this was the absolute lowest moment of her life. She had spent 3 months weaving these fabrics by hand. Her fingers were calloused and bleeding from the loom. She had carried that heavy basket for 6 miles in the rain because she could not afford bus fare. Every single thread in that basket represented a day her mother got to keep fighting her illness. And now a billionaire shop owner was treating her like a disease. But then something beautiful happened. Henry's little girl, Lily, walked past the imported Italian silks on the mannequins. She did not care about the gold-threaded gowns. She crouched down next to Rose's spilled fabrics. Lily buried her face in a deep crimson scarf. Daddy, it smells like the forest. It feels warm. Henry finally smiled. It was a small, genuine smile that completely ignored the hostility in the room. He knelt beside his daughter and picked up a piece of indigo fabric. He rubbed the material between his thumb and index finger. He closed his eyes for a second, feeling the texture, the tension of the weave. Vance was losing his mind. Did you hear me? You absolute tramp. I said, get out. Henry raised one finger, silencing the shop owner without even glancing at him. He looked directly at Rose. The indigo depth here is unusual. Did you use a cold dyeing process with wild ash to set this tone? Rose blinked, completely caught off guard. Nobody ever asked about the process. They only cared about the price tag. Yes, she stammered, wiping a tear from her cheek. I use wild ash from the mountain, but I ferment it for exactly 14 days. It stops the color from breaking down when washed. Henry nodded slowly, his eyes scanning another piece. And the crimson? The root to water ratio has to be incredibly precise to get a shade this vibrant without using chemical fixatives. How did you stabilize it? Rose's posture straightened, the fear in her eyes. was suddenly replaced by a fierce, burning passion. It is a family secret. We crush the madder roots with river stones, not metal. Metal alters the pH balance of the dye. The river stones keep the water alkaline. Henry looked at her, truly looked at her. He saw the raw, calloused hands. He saw the exhaustion in her posture, but he also saw a master artisan who possessed knowledge that modern factories have spent millions trying to replicate. There is nothing more beautiful than raw, honest talent being recognized when the world tries to crush it. If you agree, type I believe God always weaves justice down below to send Rose some strength. Vance slammed his hand on the glass counter. I am not going to stand here and listen to a couple of peasants talk about mud and roots. Security, throw these beggars out on the street and throw that garbage fabric in the dumpster where it belongs. Two massive security guards marched toward them. Rose panicked, trying to scoop up her life's work, but Henry did not move. He did not flinch. He slowly stood up, brushing some dried mud off his jeans. He reached into his pocket. He didn't pull out a weapon. He didn't pull out a badge. He pulled out a simple, somewhat scratched smartphone. He typed a message with one hand. He hit send. He looked Vance dead in the eye and spoke for the very first time to the shop owner. You do not know the first thing about value. You only know price. The message Henry just sent had only 5 words. Acquire the entire block. Now. Vance burst out laughing. Acquire the block? Are you having a psychotic break, pal? This is the most expensive real estate in the city. You cannot even afford a bar of soap, let alone a building. You and your little street urchin need to get out before I call the police. He reached for the gold-plated telephone on his desk, but the laughter died in his throat. A few seconds later, the heavy, custom-made glass doors of the boutique swung open with a forceful push. 4 men in sharp, custom-tailored Italian suits walked in. They moved in perfect synchronization, radiating an aura of absolute authority. They did not look at the expensive merchandise on the mannequins. They did not even look at Vance. They walked straight up to the man in the muddy boots. The lead attorney, a silver-haired man with a severe expression and a leather briefcase, bowed his head slightly. Mr. Sterling, the emergency paperwork has been finalized. Sir, the transfer of ownership for this building and the 3 adjacent commercial properties on this avenue is complete. The wire transfer of $85 million cleared exactly 30 seconds ago. You are now the sole owner of this entire commercial district. The silence in the room was sudden and deafening. You could hear a pin drop. Vance's face drained of all color, turning a sickly shade of pale gray. His jaw practically hit the imported marble floor. His hand hovered, trembling, over the gold telephone. Mr. Sterling, Vance whispered, his voice cracking under the immense weight of the name, as in Henry Sterling, the founder and CEO of Sterling Global, the largest fashion conglomerate on the planet. Henry did not answer him immediately. He ignored the panic in the shop owner's eyes. He gently took the indigo fabric from Rose's shaking hands and folded it with absolute care. He handed it to his lead attorney, who held it like it was a priceless artifact. Then Henry finally turned to look at Vance. You call yourself a master of luxury. Vance, you parade around in silk ties and judge people by the dirt on their shoes. For the record, my daughter and I spent the morning planting trees at the new community center. That is where the mud came from. But you are blind to anything that does not have a massive price tag. You look at a woman who bleeds for her craft, who preserves a dying art just to save her mother's life, and you call her trash. You think luxury is about excluding people. It is not. Real luxury is authenticity. It is heart. It is soul. And you, Vance, have absolutely neither. Arrogance always has a price, and there is nothing more satisfying than seeing it paid in full. If you believe that, do not forget to comment. I believe God always weaves justice down below to seal his fate. Vance's knees literally gave out under him. He dropped to the floor right where Rose had been kneeling and crying just minutes before. The irony was poetic. Mr. Sterling, please, Vance begged, tears of genuine panic streaming down his face. I had no idea who you were. If I had known, I would have rolled out the red carpet. I was just trying to maintain the elite standards of the brand. Please, sir. I have a massive mortgage. I have private school tuitions for my kids. Do not take this store away from me. Henry looked down at the pathetic, groveling man. His expression remained completely calm, unreadable, and devoid of pity. I am not taking the store away from you, Vance. I am taking the entire brand away from you. You are fired. Your franchise agreement is null and void due to a breach of our ethical conduct clause. And as the new landlord of this building, your lease is officially terminated. You have exactly 1 hour to pack your personal belongings and get out of my property. If you are not gone by then, my security team will physically remove you. Vance started sobbing openly, a pathetic, gasping sound that echoed through the empty, luxurious boutique. He had lost everything in the span of 5 minutes. But Henry was already walking away. He walked back over to Rose. She was still frozen, clutching her woven basket tightly to her chest, her eyes wide with shock. She could not believe what she had just witnessed. Henry's voice softened completely, returning to the gentle tone of a loving father. Rose, my company has spent the last 2 years trying to launch a sustainable heritage clothing line. We have hired the best chemical engineers in the world, but our colors always wash out. They always fade. They lack the life and the vibrancy that your fabrics possess. He pointed to her calloused, stained hands. I do not want to buy these fabrics today. I want to buy your entire process. I want you to come work for Sterling Global. I am offering you the position of head creative director for our new natural fiber division. We will cover your mother's medical expenses entirely, starting right this second. I will have my private medical team transferred to her hospital today, and you will have a state-of-the-art laboratory and a full team to scale your family's ancient techniques to the world. Rose gasped, her hands flying to her mouth to stifle a sob. Tears of absolute relief, gratitude, and disbelief streamed down her face. She looked at the little girl, Lily, who was still smiling warmly at her. Lily held her small hand out. Rose took it, crying, and finally nodded. Yes, she whispered. Her voice choked with emotion. Yes, Mr. Sterling, I will. Fast forward 3 years later, the setting sun is casting a brilliant golden glow over the Mediterranean Sea. A massive 300-foot super yacht is gently cutting through the crystal clear waves. On the expansive top deck, a private runway has been set up under the open sky. World-renowned models are walking down the aisle, wearing breathtaking, flowing gowns. The colors are vivid, earthy, and undeniably alive. The deep indigos and vibrant crimsons are identical to the ones that were once thrown onto a cold marble floor by a cruel man. It is the debut collection of Sterling's heritage line, and it is already a massive global sensation. But the most beautiful moment of the evening isn't the fashion show itself. It is what happens after the final model walks off the stage. Henry, wearing a crisp, tailored suit made from natural, hand-woven linen, walks onto the deck. He is holding the hand of his beautiful wife, Rose. She is absolutely glowing, wearing a simple but stunning wedding dress that she wove and embroidered herself. Next to them is Lily, now a few years older. wearing a matching crimson dress, laughing as the warm sea breeze catches the fabric. Rose's mother is sitting in the front row. She is completely healthy, her cheeks rosy, smiling brightly, and wiping a tear of pure joy from her eye. Sometimes the universe strips everything away just to make room for something far greater. True beauty is never found in gold or marble or arrogance. It is found in the callous hands of those who work with love. It is found in the quiet, unyielding strength of a father who protects the weak. And it is found in the invisible threads of destiny that weave us all together. If this story moved you, please hit that subscribe button right now to join our family. And for the final time, let the world know where you stand by typing, "I believe God always weaves justice," in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.